Well, for today, it's going to go to your fifth quarterback, Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Vish Kumaran says it feels like Justin Fields is similar to your evaluation of Sam Darnold back in 2018. From the standpoint of struggles in the pocket, has mechanical issues, but is still a surefire first-round pick. Is that fair?
Yes, he's more raw with some of the throwing and stuff like that, though, within the pocket. And I know this person's obviously been listening, because one of my things with Sam Darnold was he was great with backyard football. I didn't always love him when it was just like, hey, stand in the pocket and throw that 25-yard, crossing route with some authority and put it on the money. That's when he would be off a little bit. He was actually better when he was moving around and on the run and shuffling up in the pocket and doing those type of things. He's really good that way. But no, Fields' issues are greater than that. They are. Fields' issues can really scare me as a thrower at times.
What would you say his number one issue is?
Well, just, the overall accuracy of the football at times. It's less than what Sam Darnold's was and what I was explaining back then. Now, he's a better athlete, and we talked about that, and he has real size. But as we mentioned a few times in the last podcast when we broke this down a little bit, you can't really take anything for granted as far as a throw or a completion with Justin Fields. When he's on his game, it looks pretty, and you go, wow, that's really good. But like what we talked about, there's just too many easy throws, should be slam dunk completions where it's not even close to being a completion. So that's what scares me, let alone, like I said, it's been a little bit of a one read and run type of quarterback play from him, and that's where it's less than Sam Darnold. I really look at Fields as being like someone you would want, I think, somewhere between the 20s and 32s. I would want him, like I talked about a little, in a position where he could sit behind somebody for a year. That's where I did bring up Pittsburgh with Big Ben.
Yeah, Slow Runner has a question that's similar to that. What's an ideal team or system for Fields to land with in order to overcome these drawbacks?
Yeah, any place that just he doesn't have to be thrust in and expected to carry the team with his right arm or decision making. That and because from everything I know, listen, I think this kid's capable of showing progress as a pocket passer and doing those things. Hey, played at Ohio State. First guy was open a lot. They throw to a lot of open spaces. They kind of just protect and say, hey, you figure it out. I don't really know if he knows pass protections like I talked about. There's too many times where I saw certain blitzes and he didn't know he was hot until he saw, whoa, the guy's 3 feet from me and nobody blocked him. I better try to find a way to get the ball out of it. He's raw that way. So you'd want him in that type of scenario, at least in my opinion. That's why I say Pittsburgh, where it's like, okay, we're coming to the end with Big Ben. He can learn from Big Ben and how you approach the NFL season and maybe fix some of those, physical issues as far as the technique issues and become a more polished passer.
Ariane Khan carries this point. How easily can his issues, like the ones that caused him to be a bad short pass thrower, be fixed?
They can be fixed. It's going to take tremendous reps and repetition. It's not the kind of thing where you're just going to go, this is where, to me, like, knowing the guy and the pro day are going to be really big. I want to see at the pro day, where I'm going to move you around. I'm going to wear you out a little bit. I want to see if you could stay within these mechanics. Because, you could probably cheat them and fool people for 45 or 50 throws if that's all you're thinking about. But you start to get them tired, get them worn out. Let me just see, is he working on these? Did he recognize them? And, okay, now he's recognized them, and let me see how he puts it all together. He's a natural thrower, so he can fix these issues. But it's not something where I look at and I expect it just to be like gone and done with by the time training camp comes around.
What percentage, and we don't need any kind of names here, what percentage of buildings in the NFL, the 32, have a quarterback coach or an offensive coordinator who can really take someone like this with all this talent and experience and take him one standard deviation better with his mechanics?
Well, there's not a lot that are great in this department.
I have a number in my head. I'm going to write it down. I'm
going to single digits.
I'm just going to write it down. I'm going to give an order or a range, and see if it's what you hit.
really, like, for people that I think could really, like, stay on it, fix it, know what they're talking about, things like that, yeah, I think it's like 7, 8 guys in the whole league.
6 to 8.
Yeah, it's somewhere in that range.
Isn't that something?
Yes, because, again, the NFL, you got a lot of quarterback coaches and everything that really don't know how to throw. They're too prideful that now they have this job that they don't try to go out and ever really learn from anybody. Mm-hmm. They don't, because I'm supposed to be an NFL coach. I'm supposed to know. I don't want to tell anybody I don't know. Oh, well, I don't. That's what Bill Belichick's done all these years. He's just acted like he knows it all, and that's how he's got so good. That's where so many coaches, fail, in my opinion. You're not supposed to know everything. Learn more. And yes, there's lack of those guys in the NFL. I mean, I was around very few in my career. My dad will tell you the same thing. He only had like 2 coaches his whole career that could have told him anything about throwing the football.
Right.
Now there's some easy things where even a base level NFL quarterback coach who I might not be blown away with it is going to, now that you're in an NFL locker room and there's no the 20-hour rule, there's some things here like we talked about with his legs and his base, right? And just keeping it shoulder width apart, not letting his feet come close together, right? I mean, can I stand up, Kristen, at all, or do any of that? You think you could tilt that up today? All right. Well, either way, let me get my feet in the screen, but just like, hey, just a basic start for him is just to stay here, right? Just stay in this manner right here. Oh, look at this. Just stay here. And like you talked about, you brought it up, the first thing you noticed, okay, that's the first thing a coach is going to have to do with Justin Fields, no matter where it is. Hey, when we throw, we want the feet right here all the time. Doesn't matter where you throw. It can't go, oh, now we're over here. Let me bring them back together and do this. Like, there's no way. There's way too many moving parts. You're never going to be able to. So that's a pretty fairly easy fix as long as people can stay on that. And then there's going to be the other aspect, of course, of tying the upper body together with it. First off, this gets too floppy like we talked about. And that's okay to have a flexible arm, but it can't just be all flexible arm by itself. At some point, there's got to be a little bit of the body to go along with it. If you're just locking the front shoulder in, which he will do at times, and he just locks it there and then just makes it all about this, you're not going to be consistent that way either. So You're going to have to it's going to be somebody that's going to have to stay on them and know what they're talking about a little bit to fix that issue.
As long as you're up, stay up.
Yeah.
I want to point out, too, that it's bad to be a long strider as it relates to the accuracy, because when you take that long stride, what happens? Your weight comes forward.
Exactly.
And the ball's
There's
back.
Too many moving parts.
It's difficult to control.
Quarterbacks' heads don't go like this as they throw the football.
Right.
They don't do that, right? If you watch Rodgers or Brady, like, it might be this right there. Oh, okay. It's about as far as it's going to go, right? But so many times they're, oh my gosh, somebody's right here in my pocket, and they got to go, huh. Mm-hmm. And you didn't move at all. You stayed there because you were on that back foot as you're talking about.
Right.
And now you have the ability to crank and torque, and let me just do it right like that. That's what makes, like, Zach Wilson. That's why I love him. That's why I like Rodgers and Mahomes. They can be here, and, people around them, and they can be, and they can both feet off the ground or do whatever throw they want. And in this draft, that's Zach Wilson. Mon can do that. Mac Jones is phenomenal. Trevor Lawrence, who does get a little too much body movement himself at times with his lower legs a little.
You said he stood up a little bit too.
He can be like this, where he's a back bender, right? And he just kind of falls out of it and does that. He still throws so many good balls, even though it's the wrong way at times. Mm-hmm. And he can be a little bit of a long strider. Not that his body goes really forward with it, but it is a long strider where there's a little bit of a moving part. But here's the thing where I go, like, Trevor Lawrence, I know, can fix it. Is like, I saw so many throws where Trevor Lawrence had like people in his face, and now he couldn't step into it and like use his longer motion. And he would do things the right way, and he could still throw it with incredible pace and power. And that, to me, shows me he can fix that pretty easily.
All right.
All right. I don't know. We said a lot there.
You going to sit now?
Yeah, good.
Last week you were sweating after you said.
Not sweating today.
You all right today?
No hoodie today.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.